If you think you're not creative, guess what? Your favorite artists are thieves. It's actually not as bad as you think. How? Chapter 1, Steal Like an Artist. To look at the world like an artist, you gotta figure out what's worth stealing. That's literally it. Now, when you look at the world this way, you're gonna stop thinking about what's good or what's bad, because art is subjective. At the end of the day, you can't really tell whether the art you're looking at or listening to is good or bad. Also, nothing is off limits here, so if you don't get something that's worth stealing today, you can also do it tomorrow, the next day, next month, next year, and so on. Now, because artists steal, nothing is original. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, because if we free ourselves from the pressure of making something 100% original, we are free from the burden of trying to make something out of nothing and instead embrace the fact that our work is influenced by other works. This reminds me of Mark Mance's video called Why Your Favorite Self-Help Books Are Overrated.
That there is nothing new really being said in any of them. Let's be real, there's nothing new in self-help. Most of the advice that we're all consuming when we buy these books, whether it's on how to be more compassionate, less anxious, more humble and grounded, more productive, more honest and vulnerable, these things have been covered for thousands of fucking years, from Buddha and Jesus to Plato and Seneca to Adam Smith and Benjamin fucking Franklin to Nietzsche and Freud. Pretty much nothing you find on a self-help shelf is new. And that's fine, because
Also, he's the same guy who wrote this book. In other words, originality is not about presenting new ideas, but representing old ideas in ways that is fresh and relevant. And by now you realize that new ideas are just a mashup or a remix of one or more previous ideas. Even genetics are like that. You're a mashup of your parents, and their 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 parents, and so on. Okay, remember what I said about figuring out what's worth to steal? Now you get to collect. And here's what Austin Kleon, the author of this book, says.
I think that human beings are collectors, and artists especially. Not hoarders, mind you, there's a difference. Hoarders collect indiscriminately, and the artist collects selectively. They only collect the things that they really love.
Now obviously you want to collect good ideas, because if you collect good ideas, you're going to be influenced by those good ideas. You don't want to be influenced by bad ideas, do you? Value is not just found in the art, but in the artist. So if you want to learn everything about that particular subject at once, you're gonna be super overwhelmed. Instead, if you want to steal something, steal the artist, not the art. Try to understand and emulate the mindset, the habits, and their thought processes. So find an artist you really love, whether that's an actor or performer, a writer, or even your mom, and study everything there is to know about that thinker. Then you find 3 people that your thinker admires, and you learn everything from them. You rinse and repeat until you have your own little family tree. After that, you get to start your own branch. Okay, speaking of studying, whether you're in school or not, always be learning. You have to be curious about the world you live. Look things up. Read a crap ton of books. Google everything even. And I mean everything. Google your questions, even the ones you think are stupid. I do that all the time, except nowadays I use ChatGPT more often because... Oh, and while you're at it, carry a pen and a notebook wherever you go. Get used to pulling it out and jotting down whatever it is that you see that inspires you. Whether it's a conversation that you overheard or a passage of the book that you find inspiring. So in return, if you need a little bit of inspiration, you can go back to your little notebook and get some inspo. It's really interesting. It's kind of like your personal Pinterest. Also, it doesn't necessarily have to be a notebook and pen. You can use your phone even. Maybe you want to use your Notes app, your Voice Notes app, Notion, or even today's sponsor, Milano. Nah, I'm just kidding, you guys. Chapter 2, don't wait until you know who you are to get started. If you waited to find who you are before you start getting creative, you are not going anywhere because you're not doing anything. You can only figure out who you are by making stuff. Now those creative people that you admire so much are creative because they keep showing up doing stuff. They don't wait to be ready. So let me tell you something, you are ready.
just do it!
If you want to be an artist, act like an artist. You gotta dress the part. You gotta do what the artists do. It's kind of like manifestation, right? For example, if you want to glow up, then act like you've glowed up. What does a glowed up person do? They take care of themselves mentally, spiritually, physically. This reminds me of what I read in Atomic Habits, where you really have to embody the identity of your goals. So for example, if you are a smoker and you don't want to smoke anymore, instead of saying I'm quitting smoking, say I'm not a smoker. Nobody's born with a style or a voice. In the beginning, we learn by pretending to be our heroes. So your preferences, your style, your immaculate taste, yeah, they all come from what you consume. They all come from what you copied. Now we're talking about practice here, not plagiarism. There's a difference. Plagiarism is when you copy someone else's work and then you claim that it's yours. But copying is about reverse engineering. So don't just steal their style. Steal their thinking behind the style. You don't want to look like their heroes, you want to see like your heroes. Okay, at some point, you're gonna have to move on from imitating them to emulating them. Now, imitating is what I mentioned before. It's copying. But emulating is one step further from imitating, because here you get to do your own thing. The reason you imitate is to find your own voice. Once you find your own voice, congratulations, you've evolved. Chapter 3, write the book you want to read. When we love a piece of work, we're desperate for more. So why don't we channel that into something productive? Think about your favorite work. What did they miss? What didn't they make? What could have been made better? If they were still alive, what would they be making today? Now go make that stuff. Draw the art you want to see. Start a business you want to run. Play music you want to hear. Create products you want to use. Do the work you want to see done. Chapter 4, use your hands. You don't need a scientific study to know that sitting all day is not good for you. We gotta move. Feel like we're making something with our hands, not just our heads. Work that only comes from the head is not good. Watch a great musician play a show. Watch a great leader give the speech. You know what I mean. You need to find a way to bring your body into your work, because your body and your brains, they're connected, okay? So if this thing, yeah. Chapter 5, side projects and hobbies are important. Sometimes creative people just has to sit around and do nothing. If you're out of ideas, that's okay. Everybody gets writer's block. The way to fix writer's block is to give yourself a rest, go wash the dishes, go touch some grass, wander. You'll never know where that's gonna lead you. I heard this from Thomas Frank, if I'm not mistaken, but it's kind of like this thing called, I think it's diffuse thinking, where there's this boy, he's really good at chess, and during the chess match, he stands up and wanders around, and then he came back and knows the next move that he's gonna take, and then he wins. When it comes to hobbies and side projects, don't just stick to one. It might sound like a good idea at first, but after a while, you're gonna start having a headache. It's recommended to have 2 or more side projects or hobbies, because if you get sick of one project, you get to move to another, and then you get to switch if you're sick of that one. It's really important to have a hobby, so find one that works for you and find one that makes you happy. Chapter 6, the secret. Do good work and share it with people. If you're overthinking about what people are thinking of you when you start your creative journey, guess what? They don't care. A lot of people actually don't care what you think. I know it sounds harsh, but the thing is, it's not that people are cruel, they're just busy. This is actually a good thing, because you are free from the pressure of an audience. You get to do whatever you want. You get to experiment a lot of things. And you'll never get that freedom again once you get recognized by your good work. So, enjoy your obscurity while it lasts. Here's a not-so-secret formula I learned from this book. It's a 2-step process. Step 1, do good work. You do that by creating stuff every day. Maybe not every day, but as often as you can. And then, you put that work on the internet. No, really, put yourself out there. Find a tribe that attracts your vibe and connect with them. Chapter 7, geography is no longer our master. You don't necessarily have to live anywhere other than the place you're living in to connect with the world you want to be in. If that's your case, then build the world around you. Surround yourself with books and other stuff that you love. Create your own world. But if that's not the case, or at some point in your life, or even now, if you can leave home, do it. Do it! Your brain gets too comfortable in your everyday surroundings. And that is not good, because it's not gonna make you grow and evolve. And the only way to grow and evolve is to get out of the comfort zone. Where you live is literally your comfort zone. So get out. You need to spend some time in another land, surrounded by people who do stuff way differently than you do. So, traveling is a good thing. It makes the world look new. And if the world looks new, your brain works harder. Keep in mind though that a foreign culture isn't necessarily in another country. Chapter 8, be nice. The world is a small town. You gotta socialize. Make friends. A lot of them. You gotta surround yourself with people who do similar work as you do. But they have to be better than you. Why? Because you get to learn from them. So you gotta pay attention to what they're talking about, what they're doing, what they're linking to. Now, we're not just talking about physically being surrounded by these people. You can also do it digitally. So you follow those people who you admire. If you happen to stumble upon a work that you find is bad, that you're itching to fix, then fix it instead of just complaining about the way they make their art. On the contrary, if you find an artist that you're a big fan of, then make something and dedicate that to your hero. Answer a question they ask, solve a problem for them, or improve their work and share it online. Maybe your hero will see it, maybe not. Maybe they will respond to you, maybe not. But that's not the point. The point here is to make new work out of appreciation. You do this to express, not impress. By the time you finish your work and you put them on display to the world, remember that you have no control over what they think of your art. It is inevitable that not everybody will understand what you do. That is something you cannot change or you cannot control. They might even laugh at you, call you names. So, do not be afraid to be misunderstood. The trick is to be too busy with your work. Because of that, we get a lot of rejections, correct? Therefore, you gotta try to keep a praise file. Self-explanatory, every time you get a praise, you save it. This thing is only important if you need a lift, not to be too lost in your past glory. There's gonna be those days sometimes where all you remember is the rejection. And that is why the praise file is important to have. Chapter 9, be boring. It's the only way to get work done. The thing is, it takes a lot of energy to be creative. So, we gotta conserve that energy by taking care of yourself.
Treat yourself 2011.
You gotta have a routine, morning routine, night routine. Also, you gotta learn about money as soon as you can. It's not about how much money you make, but how much you keep. So stay out of debt, the bad kind, make a budget, live within your means, and watch a lot of finance videos on YouTube. Also, keep your day job. Or I guess what this book means is to have a safety net, a stable source of income so that you are free from financial stress that's gonna get in the way of you doing creative work. Also, here's a trick you can do to keep going. You keep a calendar. Each day you do something creative. It doesn't have to be big. The point is for you to just do creative work. And when you do, you mark an X on that day on the calendar, and you continue to do that as time passes on. The goal here is for you to not break the chain. If you don't break the chain, it gives this little dopamine hit that makes you want to keep going. It's kind of like Snapchat streaks, right? If you keep on sending snaps with your friends every single day, the streaks will go up. And the reason you guys keep going is because you want to see the numbers go up. You don't want to break that chain, right? Same thing for this. Other than a calendar, you can also keep a logbook. A logbook isn't necessarily a diary or a journal. It's kind of self-explanatory. It's just a little book where you write the things you do that day. It's really nice to have this because you get to remember the small details instead of just the big ones. Who you'll marry is the most important decision that you're gonna make. We're not only talking about the actual marriage with your spouse. We're also talking about who you choose to do business with, who you befriend, who you surround yourself with. So marry well. Chapter 10, creativity is a subtraction. We gotta figure out the things to leave out because nothing is more paralyzing than limitless possibilities. If you have creative block, simply get rid of that by placing constraints in yourself. It seems contradictory, but it actually works because this way you're forced to be more creative with your solutions. Make things with the time, space, and materials you already have right now. Play the cards that you're dealt. You know that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once? Did you know that 5 people who did not go to school for visual effects did all the CGI for the film in their bedrooms during their pandemic? And they made a freaking masterpiece! In the end, creativity is not just about things we choose to put in, it's also what we choose to put out. So choose wisely. Here's a summary. Number 1, find what's worth stealing and selectively collect them. Number 2, nothing is original. Everything is just a mashup of other things. So just embrace the influence instead of burdening yourself with creating things from scratch. Number 3, start creating whatever you want to create. Fake it till you make it. Imitate what you stole until you're able to make your own spin into it. Number 4, find ways to bring your body into your work. Being sedentary is not good for our brain and therefore our creativity. Number 5, practice productive procrastination. Have multiple side projects and hobbies. Do nothing. Mess around. Wander. You never know where that's gonna lead you. Number 6, do good work and share it with people. And enjoy obscurity while you still can have the creative freedom without the pressure from an audience. Number 7, make friends. Get inspired from them. Create something in response to their work. And remember that not everyone understands what you do, and that's okay. Number 8, be boring. Take care of yourself wholly. Document your day-to-day life. This way, you have enough mental energy to express your creativity. And lastly, limitation is actually a good thing. It can sometimes result to your best work yet. If you cannot tell already, this book is so good. I loved it. I think you really should consider reading it. There's only around 80 pages there, and there's a lot of pictures as well. So it's definitely a light read, and you can finish it in a day. If you reached till the end of this video, hi! Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this. And click the link to my podcast in the description down below if you want to listen to the audio version of this video.